chooses to insult the public, it's unfortunate, because I'm going to remind you that we pay for your houses, we pay for your groceries, we pay for much of your lives, excepting those of you who have very large and significant pensions from other locations. And as we look at the rest of the South Bay and equal size and population cities, you should be ashamed of yourselves, every last one of you. Oh, more about that later.
My name is Willie A.G., and I live in the beautiful city of Inglewood, California. And I like to say this, we have professional people here. When they do something, they know what they're doing. They don't take 6 months to make a decision. So I appreciate you for that. Keep up the good work. Thank you.
Close public comment. Item 1, CSA 1 and H1.
Warrant register.
Move allow payments.
Second.
Madam Clerk.
Council and agency members Dodson.
Aye.
Padilla.
Aye.
Morales.
Aye.
Franklin.
Aye.
Mayor Chairman Buds.
Aye. Madam Clerk, what's the next scheduled matter?
The next scheduled matter is a public hearing to receive public comments regarding the city's 2015 Urban Water Management Plan.
Has notice of the hearing been given in the time, form, and manners required by law, and do you have the affidavit on file?
Notice has been given and affidavit is on file.
Have you received any communications?
No communications have been received.
Mr. City Manager, is there a staff report?
Yes, Mr. Lewis Atwell, Public Works Director, will give the staff report.
Welcome, Mr. Atwell.
Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. 2015 Urban Water Management Plan. I have Harvey Gobas of Somas Engineering. Somas Engineering, half of the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Are any persons present who wish to address the council on this matter?
I thought we were going to hear from him before we could start.
Mr. Fisher, is there any persons present? Is this the end of your report? It is. Yeah. If anyone present wants to comment. Mr. Fisher, if you want to speak, please.
I'm speaking,
Please
you know,
come forward.
and I don't need to hear from you either. But I will tell you this, though, that it concerns me that, you know, we're out here selling water, you know, and, you know, from these aquifers that we have here, you know, and as we sell our water, you know, we're telling residents, you know, to constantly cut back. So, you know, it is a concern of mine that, you know, in selling this water, you know, it could be that these aquifers will run dry that we have, and you know, after the water's gone, you know, it's gone. So, you know, I just kind of would like to have heard again from this gentleman about, you know, what we're plans for this water that we have here in the city. But, you know, it just seems to me that that would have been the right thing for us to have had, so that we could have made some more comments that we had heard from about things. So, thanks for nothing.
My name is Diane Sembrano, and less than 9 minutes in, you've chosen to insult a member of the public for simply wanting to know what would be contained in the report that is about to be presented. I would hope that you take that back to Somas. Say hello to Michael for me. It is unfortunate that you disregard the community so much that even when you have a guest here, you continue to go on and insult the public. And that is why perhaps that Mr. Atwell felt so comfortable doing that just a few weeks ago. I am very concerned about the water issue. And I wasn't going to say that, but you opted to insult Mr. Fisher. Perhaps you would go ahead and clarify how important it is that we do watch our water, considering in Downey there was a situation with water in the past, and that is the former employer of Mr. Atwell.
Michael Benbow, First District. Want to bring some attention to, I think it was PH1, like that, wanted to move on. as far as the water is concerned, I've made several trips on the, up north and seen the water from, how we get the water from all up north, northern California, all the way down to Los Angeles. Followed the route all the way down. We're in good shape, and they came in not too long ago and made a presentation about how they're improving the water situation. We're in great shape, but we still have a problem. So we're working on the problem, and I have full confidence that we will come up with a good solution. Thank you.
Aldine Sly, First District, Mayor, City Council, and staff. Isn't it customary, and it has been, whenever a public hearing is presented in the council, that an explanation is given before you ask for public comments? I would like to hear an explanation regarding this public hearing. And I call it public hearing loosely because, like I told you last time, this is not a public hearing because all of the public is not here. But please give us an explanation before you ask for comments, because we're very ignorant when we come up here. I am, at least, until I know what the public hearing is all about. Now, I guess that's why Mr. Atwell and the gentleman behind me is here. So I don't know why you've taken it out of context this time, but I think we should have an explanation before public comments are being heard.
But an explanation of?
About this PH1, Public Works Department. He's sitting there getting ready to give a report, I assume, and the gentleman behind him.
That'll be good.
Okay,
But I think Mr.
am I clear?
I think Mr. Atwell told you why we were here and what we were doing.
I don't really understand what you're saying because you talk very softly, but I'm just telling you what I assumed. Thank you.
Okay, we'll close public comment. Mr. Atwell, was there anything else that you think was relevant?
All contained in the report and the staff.
I get it. Okay, and introduce our guest here.
Harvey Gobas of Somas Engineering.
Are there any council comments? No. Is there a motion? So moved. Second. Madam City Clerk?
Council members Dodson,
Aye.
Padilla,
Aye.
Morales,
Aye.
Franklin,
Aye.
Mayor Butts.
Okay, well, hold on a second. There was a PowerPoint presentation. I don't want Mr. Somas to be here in vain. Please make your presentation, sir.
Well, good afternoon, Honorable Mayor and members of the council, members of staff, and members of the audience. I do have a brief presentation. It'll be about 10 minutes. There's 9 slides. So I want to talk a little bit about why these plans are done. They've been done since 1985 per requirements of the State Department of Water Resources. They've typically been done in years ending in 5 or 0. So you might ask, why are we doing it this year? Because it ends in a 6. Well, the state changed the requirement this year as they did 5 years ago in 2010. So they're actually not due until 2016 this time around. And all water agencies that serve either 3,000 customers or provide 3,000 acre-feet of water have to do these plans. There's a little over 400 such agencies in California. City of Inglewood Water Service Area serves about 9,000 acre-feet, so about 3 times that requirement. And the purpose of the study is to estimate the water picture for the city, both the supply and the demands over the next 20-year planning horizon, and demonstrate that you have adequate supplies during that 20-year planning horizon to meet your requirements. And then in 2009, there was a Senate bill passed called Senate Bill X7-7, and in that bill it required that all water agencies in California had to conserve 20% of whatever they were using at that time by the year 2020. And to do that, you had to set targets for the year 2015 and for the year 2020. And this report reports on those targets and how well you're doing, which is actually very well. So a little bit about the city's water service area. As I'm sure you know, you serve approximately 80% of the land area in the city, which represents 75% of the population of the city. The remaining 20% is served by Golden State Water Company and Cal American Water Company, two investor-owned water utilities. Your population of your water service area is projected to increase by about a little less than 14% by the year 2040. And the major growth is going to occur as a result of the City of Champions revitalization project over the next 9 years or so. About 7,500 of that increase will result from that. As I'm sure you also know, we just made it through our 5th year of the worst drought in California history. In April of 2015, about a year and a half ago, Governor Brown issued Executive Order B 29-15, which required, on average, that all agencies conserve 25% of the water that was being used in the year 2013. Now, individual cities were set different goals, varying from a low of 4% up to a high of about 36%. City of Inglewood's goal, based on your past history, your water conservation history, was 11%, and you've actually done very well. Your water service area has achieved well beyond the 11% reduction, almost 16%, 15.7% as of May of this year. And also in May of this year, the governor issued another executive order, B 37-16, which established longer-term water conservation measures, including some permanent monthly use reporting. There are other measures that the state staff are still working on, and those will be issued probably over the next year or so. So we don't know the full ramifications of this now, but one thing that did come out of that, as I mentioned, is you do have to report on a monthly basis as opposed to an annual basis, which was how it was done in the past. A little bit about the city's actual water use. As I mentioned, Senate Bill X7-7 required these 2015 and 2020 water conservation goals. And you can see in the table below that, your calculated goals for 2015 is 116.6 gallons per capita per day, gallons per person. And in 2020, it's a little bit less than that, 112. But your actual usage are well below that, about 20% below that right now, or in 2015 last year. 92.9 versus 116.6, and it's projected to be 100.6 in the year 2020, which is also well below your 2020 goal. After the drought ends, and we know nobody knows when the drought's going to end, but we know that historically droughts are cyclical. 5 years is quite a long time for some droughts. Some people think this one's going to last a lot longer, but when it ends, we'll all know it. Nobody can predict when that's going to happen. But when it does end, we project there's going to be a slight decrease in usage, and there's going to be reasons for a continued decrease over the future years. Executive order I just mentioned, green building codes, landscape ordinances, various measures, some of which have not even happened yet, but they're all going to contribute to reductions in that overall usage in the coming years. I want to talk a little bit now about Inglewood's water supply. Your water supply comes from 3 basic sources. The majority of your water is imported from Metropolitan Water District. That water is purchased through their member agency, West Basin MWD. And you also have a number of wells right here in the city. And then you have some recycled water, which is also purchased through West Basin MWD. Over the last 8 years, on the average, a little less than 70% of your water was imported water purchased through West Basin. About 24.5% on average over that 8-year span was groundwater, and the other 6.5% was recycled water. Now, your groundwater in 2015 was actually substantially lower than that 24.5% average over the last 8 years, primarily due to the fact that some of your wells were out of service. And as I'll show in the next slide, you're proactively addressing that situation now, so you're going to bring that back up from that low of 18% back up more to the historical average of 24.5%. And that's important because groundwater is significantly less less costly than purchase of imported water. So I mentioned your proactive program about rehabilitating some of your wells and also building or constructing a new well. Well number 1 was rehabilitated last year. Wells number 4 and 6 will be rehabilitated next year and the following year. And then you're constructing a new well in 2018. That well will have a capacity of about 1,950 acre-feet per year. That will bring your total capacity for all your operating wells up to 5,300 by the year 2017, actually 2018 when that new well goes in, which is about a 200% increase over where you are right now, or where you were last year when you only produced 1,763 acre-feet. So that's a good thing. Now you might ask, you see in the last bullet there, your actual water rights are 4,450, which obviously is less than 5,300. But it makes good sense to have capacity to produce more water in case one of your wells is out of service for some unanticipated reason. You can rely on the other wells to still pump up to your total amount of water rights, which is 4,450. So as I mentioned a little earlier, about 70% of your water comes from imported supplies purchased through West Basin. And a large amount of that historically has come through the State Water Project, which is purchased by Metropolitan and passed on to West Basin. And there have been a number of issues, mainly up in the Bay Delta in Northern California, that over the past 8 years or so have resulted in the loss of about 1.5 million acre-feet, not just to the city of Inglewood, but statewide to all water agencies. So that's had a significant impact upon everybody's ability to import water from Northern California. But in April of last year, the Department of Water Resources, in conjunction with federal and other state agencies, are working on a number of projects. 2 of them identified there, California's Water Fix and California Eco Restore, which are combinations of infrastructure improvement projects, habitat restoration project, stream restoration. So they're looking at both environmental aspects as well as infrastructure aspects. And these are long-term fixes, but hopefully they will eventually bring back some of that 1.5 million acre-feet that was lost due to other restrictions. So a little bit about Metropolitan Water District. As you were required to do, they also had to do an urban water management plan. And they also looked at, same as everybody has to do, looked at average single dry and multiple dry year scenarios. And based on their forecasts, in every scenario they looked at, they predict that they will have enough water over the 20-year planning horizon to meet all of their member agencies' demands. So that's good news for the city of Inglewood, because you rely for 70% of your water historically on them. So if they have enough water, that means the city of Inglewood's going to have enough water through the year 2040. So that brings us to today. There are certain requirements as far as posting notices and informing the county. There's a requirement that the county be informed 60 days prior to the public hearing. That was done actually more like 120 days in advance. And the Department of Water Resources also requires that once the public hearing is scheduled, that you post a notice in a local newspaper twice, beginning at least 14 days before the public hearing. And the second notice has to appear 5 days after the first notice. Those were posted in local newspapers on September 15th and September 22nd. So you met that objective. And today you're holding the public hearing. The Urban Water Management Plan was made available for anybody, members of the public and anyone else to review. It was posted on the city's website. And that brings us to where we are right now. The next action is to take action to adopt the Urban Water Management Plan and file it with the Department of Water Resources in Sacramento.
Okay. Just,
With that, I'll entertain any questions.
just to be clear, this is, the presentation you're getting is not our urban water management plan, it's just a presentation, is that right? The urban water management plan was contained in the briefing books and the books outside, right? Is that correct?
Correct.
All right, I really appreciate that. Ms. Sly, did that answer any questions you had? Very welcome. All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, Madam Clerk.
I just need your vote, that's
The
it.
vote was on the urban water management plan, and the motion has been made in a second, and I vote aye. Consent calendar, items 2 through 11.
Second.
Madam Clerk.
Council members Dotson.
Aye.
Padilla.
Aye.
Morales.
Aye.
Franklin.
Aye.
Mayor Buds.
Aye. SPH 1.
Staff report requesting that a public hearing be set to consider an ordinance amending the Inglewood Municipal Code, adding the following street permits, parking District Number 12 as follows: Glasgow Avenue from 350 feet north of Hillcrest Boulevard to Spruce Avenue, Spruce Avenue from Hendry Avenue to Glasgow Avenue, and Hillcrest Boulevard from Hendry Avenue to Glasgow Avenue.
Set the public hearing for October 25th, 2016 at 2 p.m. A1.
Thank you, Mayor. There was two closed sessions. The first closed session was regarding the labor negotiations. The first negotiation was with SEIU, the second with Inglewood Management Employees Organization, the third was Inglewood Executive Organization, and the last one was Inglewood Police Civilian Management Association. As to all of those matters, there was discussion held and direction given to staff. As to CS2, there was a closed session regarding Bernadine Harris versus City of Inglewood. And as to that matter, there was a request for the city to provide what's called a 998 offer, and there's a request for a motion on that matter.
So move.
Second.
Madam Clerk.
Council members Dotson.
Aye.
Padilla.
Aye.
Morales.
Aye.
Franklin.
Aye.
Mayor Buds.
Thank you, Mayor. And as to A2, there's no reports from the city attorney's office.
I voted aye as well. CM1,
Oral reports from the city manager.
DC1,
No remarks, thank you.
DT1.
Thank you, Mayor. I did purchase a Fannie Mae this morning in amount of $2 million. It has a coupon of 1.50, just an excellent buy because there's nothing else out there, sadly, that's above that. And it's a 5-year non-call for 1 year, so in all likelihood, I will have at least 1 year of call protection. It cannot be called until until next year of October the 3rd. And also, regarding my portfolio of bonds that I purchased, there's actually only 3 in the portfolio of the $29,658,839 that's actually above the 1.50. I have one that's 1.89. It also has a 1-year call protection, which is in November the 30th. In all likelihood, it will be called. And the reason why it will be called is because we have declining interest rates. The bond is paying 1.89, and of course, if interest rates are down to 1.50, they're not going to pay me 1.89. They'll call that bond in all likelihood. Regarding just this week's economic news, construction spending fell in August for the second straight month. And regarding the financial markets, gold is the biggest loser, it dropping $42 down to $12.70, and that's about 3% drop. Silver also plunged to $17.91, down 5%. And the 10-year Treasury bond is at 1.683, so rates are still pretty low. And also, I'd like to mention that regarding Obamacare, the Minnesota Commerce Commission said Friday the state exchanges are on the verge of collapse. Premiums will rise as much as 67% for some insurers as Blue Shield pulls out of the market, citing large financial losses. Regarding Wells Fargo, Chicago City Treasurer has divested from investing with Wells because of the scandal, and also the California State Treasurer has done the same thing and will do that for 1 year. Also, some local news regarding the city of Maywood, which is less than 2 square miles. You know, they've actually outsourced all of their municipal services back in 2010. and they're now, of course, facing a $15 million deficit. And in all likelihood, it hired someone to kind of clear up all of his financial issues. They hired someone with no municipal experience whatsoever. So that kind of explains some of their issues. And Maywood is also facing a state audit and a probe by the district attorney. That concludes my remarks and comments.
Yeah, I'd read that about Maywood. Any persons,
No,
excuse me, I'm sorry, CI1.
Joint initiative by Mayor James T. Buds Jr. and Councilmember Franklin requesting city support on ballot measure M, as it will provide significant benefits to the city of Inglewood, its residents, and tourists.
Councilman Franklin, did you want to have a few words?
Yes, thank you so much. So as your delegate on behalf of the South Bay City Council of Government, they have reached out for each delegate to talk to their city on their position on Measure M. Particularly with our concerns, we actually have very, very positive results for the city, particularly with reference to having the 2 train stations that's located in the city, and also being able to get the necessary funding that we need that will work on a pedestrian bridge that's going to come from the Florence on into the Market Street area. Because there's also funding available in this proposed Measure M on actually having a people mover, some type of above grade apparatus that will take us from the Florence Market Street station down to the Champion arenas where it will drop off into the Forum and to the future NFL stadium. This becomes a win-win for us. And more importantly, it provides more revenue for us for infrastructure improvements regarding our streets. And so because of that, I encourage everyone to reach out and support Measure M on the ballot for November the 8th.
Mayor, I have a motion.
Yes, sir.
I move 1, 2, and 3 from that initiative.
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Council members Dodson,
Aye.
Padilla,
Aye.
Morales,
Aye.
Franklin,
Aye.
Mayor Buds.
Aye. Any persons wishing to address the council on any matter connected with city business not elsewhere considered on the agenda may do so at this time.
I was wondering if there had been anything done with regard to the request of the city with regard to these smoke shops. We have another smoke shop on Manchester, right next door to the church there. Also, we have another marijuana shop that's opening up on 111th and Crenshaw. And I'm glad that you know that, sir. And I hope that you will take the initiative to begin to make moves toward getting these things out, that we're not supposed to have anyway. I applaud you for that, and I wish that some of the others would get involved with regard to this issue in the city. It's a negative for the city, and thank you for doing that.
That would be very exciting if in fact that does happen. I can only remember that very same location we went hell-bent all out because the prior person sold a single cigarette. And yet we hear that right over here we can't do anything about the marijuana shop across the street from McDonald's. How long did you say? And I jokingly said, if you don't give a rip about that, then every single person on the planet should be able to go open a stable of horses, maybe a hog farm, because while those aren't part of the ordinances that we have, neither are the marijuana shops, and you don't have a problem with that. What message are you sending? Well, I think you sent a very clear one today. You don't really care about the public. Congratulations, and you did it in front of someone else. How refreshing to know that, yes, indeed, we have had water problems. What was it? 8 years. I guess that's one of the beautiful things of our city. We cannot tell the public and leave them ignorant for so long.
Aldine again. This is regarding a traffic ticket that I told you that I received because I parked on the opposite side of the street during a holiday trash pickup. The opposite side of the street was not going to have traffic, and so I parked on that side of the street. I was issued a ticket, $55, and something told me just go ahead and pay it because I didn't think the city would find it in my favor. So I went ahead and paid it. But I brought the brochure from Republic. Nowhere on this brochure does it say, do not park on the side of the street that the trash is not going to be picked up on. And I would love to get a refund, but I know I won't. But this has been very tricky, and I know I'm not the only one that parked on that side of the street. I haven't inquired with anyone else if they got a ticket or not, but I did get a $55 ticket, and I don't think it was right. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mayor and council and staff, people of Inglewood. Ray Davis, 2nd District. Forgive me, I got here a smidge late, but I'd like to comment on a couple of the issues that came up on the dais. Regarding parking over in the 2nd District, I think we need to be proactive and face what's coming. Where I live on Hazel Street, going down to Warren Lane toward the park, there's going to be tremendous issues there when that stadium's built. They're going to turn that to a satellite tailgate area. Parking's already at a premium over there, so I'd love to sit down and chat with the councilman, Mr. Padilla, about that, and maybe get some feedback from other people in the neighborhood. I'm here to help because I'm not going anywhere unless I get an offer I can't refuse early. The other thing is the issue of Measure M. I'm all for that, not having to pay a whole nest if we just only have to pay for a couple of eggs, and be coordinated with other cities. Also, something that has come up in our neighborhood is because of our close proximity to the light rail coming in, and it's going to be zipping through every 10 minutes. A lot of people are talking about sound issues. So that's something maybe we can talk about. And quickly, if I can get 10 seconds more.
Yes, sir.
10 seconds more. This Saturday at 10 a.m., I believe it's at Bishop Elmer's Church. Pardon?
Bishop Elmer Church?
Yes. Apologize, mispronunciation. There's going to be a debate between Mr. Roland Martin and Larry Elder. If you haven't found a way to get a seat, try, because these are two men that are going to bring up issues that deal with this city specifically. And it's going to be interesting. It's going to be 3 hours. So if you got the time, come down. Thank you very much.
Well, Bill Widener, as you know, according to, to go along with Councilman Franklin's report there on a people mover, that people mover would be good, except it'll do half the job it should be doing. It should go over and hook on up to the green line at the Crenshaw station. That way you got a lot more chance of getting a lot more tourists and a lot more people into the city.
Close public comment. Are there any council comments? Councilman Dotson,
Yes, sir.
District 1.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to thank the 79th Street Block Club for inviting me to their block party. It was quite unique because one side of the street is LA and the other side of the street is Inglewood. So I thought it was quite unique that they could get together and do a block party, and it was a very good one. Take out your pencil and paper. I want you to take these dates down. On October the 22nd, I will be partnering with Warren Lane Elementary School, Home Depot, and Inglewood Police Department to do a Beautification and Safety Day at Warren Lane School at 2606 79th Street, Inglewood, California, from 10 to 2. Please come out, volunteer. Let's help out this school. It's right in our neighborhood. And on August the 29th, come out and have coffee with Councilman Dotson's special guests. October 29th.
Said August.
October 29th, thank you. Come out and have coffee with Councilman Dotson, special guest, Assembly Otter Burke. It'll be held at St. Mary's Academy, 701 Grace Avenue, Inglewood, California. Please come out. I'm sure you have some words to say to both of us, so you can catch both of us in the same location on the 29th of October from 10 to 11:30. So please come out. Thank you all for coming out today. It was pretty interesting. I thought the water was very interesting. And from what I can see, Inglewood's doing pretty good with the water. You know, when we're doing good, let's say we're doing good, you know, because you always tell us when we're doing bad, but I think we're doing a good job with the water. So thank you very much all for coming out, and enjoy the rest of your week.
Thank you. Councilman Padilla, District 2.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple of comments. A few weeks ago, as you know, the city lost a very dear employee and a friend, Don Pope, and so we laid him to rest. Memorial service over this past Saturday, and so I represented the mayor, the council, and the city, and I was joined by other city staff. So the family really appreciated the city coming out and presenting them with a plaque in remembrance of Don Pope and all the things that he did for our city. So just wanted to mention that. Also last week, we had a chance to celebrate the Teen Center's 3rd annual anniversary, actually. And the Teen Center is right at the library, right on the bottom basement. It's run by the South Bay Work Investment Board. We have a lot of young men and women from the city of Inglewood that come out there, and they improve on their education, and they also have fun. That's a big part of growing up. And so it's just was really nice. The mayor and other council members, myself, were there to celebrate their 30-year anniversary. And then this past Saturday, the mayor and I attended the Ladera Heights Civic Association's October Fair, which was held over at Parent School. And as you know, Parent School, the kids that attend actually Inglewood Unified School District in that area are kids also from LA County, from the Ladera Heights area. So we had a lot of residents, not only from LA County, but very many of them were from the Inglewood area, whose kids attend Parent School. Also, we had plenty of vendors there, but I want to recognize our police department for being there, and also our firefighters, LA County Fire Department, which services the city of Inglewood, for being there. It was really nice to see these public service agencies there and getting the support that they had from the community, all the young kids going over, jumping on the fire truck, taking pictures with the police and firefighters. It's that positive public image that we strive to continue to improve. With that, thank you for coming out, and enjoy the rest of your week.
Councilman Franklin, District 4.
Yes, first of all, let me thank the residents for being conscientious of what's going on in the district, particularly in District 4. It was brought to my attention that a business was trying to establish themselves at 110th and Crenshaw, of which I took a visit to the store, made several pictures, and everyone knows that location used to be Jen's Liquor, of which we've had many, many legal issues which required multiple agencies to get involved, and ultimately the liquor store was closed down because they lost their liquor license. Now we have a new store called MedX that's around that is also trying to open up a business, and there's a great concern. One, did they get permits? Two, we as a city and a council do not support any type of marijuana usage, whether it's recreational or medical. And so that's a matter, again, several departments are now looking into this matter as we speak to address this concern. I'm also looking across the street in the brand new shopping center that used to be Firestone Tire Place, that there is a smoke shop. And so I'm looking to see if it's within the penal code or municipal code that we have of the smoking, any type of tobacco usage that is too close to schools as well. So just want you to know I am on top of it. Appreciate everyone's concern. But more importantly, I'm glad to see we have eyes and ears of concerned neighbors and residents that we're all working on one key issue, and that's quality of life for the city of Inglewood residents. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilman Morales, District 3.
Nothing major, Mayor. Just thank everybody for coming out. Thank you.
Just really quickly, the city actually had problems with its wells probably more than 8 years, and the reality is that for probably over 10 years, there's not been significant investment in the city's infrastructure. After stabilizing our finances, the council has invested heavily in public works projects, including the water system. And so I don't know that it was a secret to anyone that has come to council meeting or read any of the agenda books that there have been problems with the wells for going back a long time, but they are being fixed now. So I just wanted to make that really clear. And one other issue. So there was the wells. I wanted to thank Councilman Padilla for representing us at Don Pope's funeral. He was a very, very respected and beloved member of the city. And Councilman Padilla traveled a long way for a long ceremony. And I want to tell you, Alex, we all appreciate you representing us that could not be there.
Thank you. And also
Oh, and Ms. Horton, thank you as well, because that was a pretty long drive. Thank you very much. And we're going to close the meeting in honor of Rufus Payne, Jr. Mr. Payne is the husband of Elizabeth Payne, chair of the Senior Center Advisory Committee, California senior legislator, and a former city employee. And one clarification on Councilman Franklin's remarks as far as medical marijuana. The city does not prohibit people from being dispensed marijuana for medical purposes, but it can't be sold over the counter. It can only be dispensed in an inpatient residential setting like a hospital. And so the violation of selling medicinal marijuana, medicinal or otherwise, is a violation. One, if it's just marijuana, it's a violation of criminal infraction statutes, depending on the quantity. And secondly, even if it's a medical dispensing, if it's sold over the counter, it's a business license issue. We don't issue business licenses to sell over-the-counter marijuana. So therefore, it does take a little while, very similar to the revocation of a alcoholic beverage sales permit. And so it's not something the city can do overnight. And some people don't realize that. It's a business license violation. And we have to compile a bit of evidence and then take the necessary steps to close the establishment. And with that, we will be adjourned.